So I wanted to thank you all for responding to my survey about the questions that you'd like me to answer on seeking Christ in the scriptures, this new podcast that I'm working on. I really do appreciate you taking the time to go out there and answer. I think something like 19 people responded. Just wanted to let you know what I'm seeing and what I'm probably going to be addressing. The highest rated on average, the highest rated question that was put out there that you guys kind of put your responses to, the highest rated question with an average of about 4.5. So that was almost 100%. Kind of everybody was on board with this. Was how can I find God's will for my life? To be fair, it's a big question. The question I really like to answer for as well. But I've promised that if we pose some questions, that we will look for biblical answers, and that's exactly what we intend to do. So that's probably the question I'll be addressing in the first episode of the podcast, followed by the one that got a 4.3 average rating, which was along the lines of I'm an introvert. I'm really not an outgoing person. So how can I be faithful to the Great Commission command on my life to share the gospel? I thought that was a good question, one that I again, just because of my own personality and how I want to be faithful to the word, but also know my own limitations. So that's another one that I'll probably get an answer to. The one that was, I thought, the best, what I'll call the best original question, meaning it was one that you provided to me, one that I'll probably address pretty early on in the show in the next couple of weeks, but was just this idea of whether or not my politics will determine or have an influence on my Christianity. And I do think that some of it has to do with how the question was worded, but I do think the concept of my religion and my political position, what the connection between those two things is and should be. And that's something I want to look at from the scripture. So that'll be a question we'll address. And then some that kind of sunk to the bottom of the list. And I think it probably indicates your lack of interest, but also maybe things that you've either wrestled with and either come to your own conclusions. So you don't care what I think, and that's fine. It's totally fine if that's the case. But things like, is it okay to read other versions of the Bible? I come from a tradition where we primarily use the King James Version. So the question may come up for some in my circles of, is it okay if I read this version or that version? Not really very highly rated. So probably want to address that one. Another one was Christians, is it okay for them to have social media accounts, particularly things like Snapchat or some of these new things, TikTok? Didn't seem to be interested in that. Maybe, again, you've already come to your conclusions on that, which is fine. Probably want to address that one. And then the other question, again, maybe the way I worded it turned some folks off, but it was just this idea of, are Christians supposed to hate gay people? And I think that's a assumption that people have about Christians, and I'd like to look at that from scripture. I will probably address that in some capacity because I do believe it is a cultural, social issue, an assumption people have about Christians, and I believe the Bible does have a good answer. So anyway, that's just a quick update for me. I'm looking forward to and actually working hard now preparing that first episode, and hopefully that you will join me for that and share this with some other people so that they may have some interest in this, that they can participate as we go live in a couple of weeks with the first episode. Thank y'all. Have a great Christmas, by the way. Y'all enjoy.